Hey guys, Argent here with a reactionary review of Perfume. Now, I had thought of avoiding making this largely because this movie was so fucking disturbing, and it bothered me on such a deep level. I actually try to avoid thinking about it a lot of the time because it's literally like the most fucked thing I've ever seen. At the time, I wouldn't have used this word, but now that I think about it, it might be the most degenerate movie I've ever seen. Um, like, there's a difference between kind of intellectualized degeneracy and just kind of pleb tier degeneracy. Pleb tier degeneracy is something like Hot Tub Time Machine, or like a rom com, or like the American Pie stuff, where like it promotes like alcoholism and drugs and having sex with random people, and just stuff like that. Like that's bad, but that's just kind of like plebs are gonna pleb. You know what I mean? Like the common man's always gonna be the common man, etc. That stuff has always existed. It always will exist. It's something to roll your eyes at. It's disconcerting the more so the amount of faith people put in it, but it's not really pretending to be anything it isn't. It's just trash made for the mass market to appeal at a very base level. It doesn't pretend to be anything it's not, which is kind of the issue with Judd Apatow because he pretends to be a serious filmmaker. But we can discuss that some other time. Perfume, I think, kind of represents the mindset of the modern left, and it's actually something that had a profound effect on me politically. Uh, there was this guy I knew back in university, and this is kind of what set me on my course because I used to call myself a man of the left. So he lived on the same floor that he lived the same floor of residence where I lived, and he was obsessed with this movie Perfume. He had watched it dozens and dozens of times, and he said to him this movie represented his worldview. He called it the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, and it summarized his ideals on love and like how the world should be, and that it was the most important thing he had ever seen. I was like, okay, and I watched the movie, and I said, this is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. It actually like made me like physically ill watching it. That's how fucked this movie is. And once again, it's not even because it's the most graphic thing. It's just it's so fucking pretentious. This is the most pretentious movie I've ever seen. In some respect, it's more pretentious than some art films, even though this is kind of an art film, because it like pretends to be a real movie. It doesn't. It's not just kind of like one of those something like Cold Souls, where it's just incoherent, slow shit for 2 hours and then it ends. This movie actually like isn't even that badly filmed or acted, which kind of makes it worse because this actually got a wide release. It made no money in America. It was a complete commercial failure in America. No one liked it. Nobody watched it. It did very well in Germany, which I guess represents the German self-hatred. So why did this movie disgust me so much? Why have Abstract Entity and I both know the guy, both knew the guy who I'm referring to, and we just made jokes about him for years because it was literally like the most fucked thing we had ever heard of. And this guy also wore like communist regalia and stuff like that, but he was like the ultimate hipster. So if you ever know why I hate hipsters and I just kind of hate the left so much and why I just kind of see them as morally bankrupt, it was largely due to that experience and just similar stuff. So, the movie begins with the sentencing of Jean Baptiste, a notorious murderer. Between the reading of the sentence and the execution, the story of his life is told via flashback. John Baptiste is born in an extremely gratuitous scene where his mother is just cutting fish and then he literally just falls out. You get to see the umbilical cord and anything, in like this dirty fish market surrounded by chopped heads, and it's just fucking disgusting. So she doesn't like want him, so she abandons him, and he grows up in an orphanage where he is, of course, abused, and it's horrible. This is 19th century France, by the way. I should have been more clear about it. So he is apprenticed to a tanner's apprentice. He's a tanner's apprentice who is apprenticed to a tanner. Sorry, that was incoherent. So he's walking through the city of Paris, as part of his apprenticeship. By the way, Jean Baptiste has no smell of his own. He also has like a super nose. He was born with no smell of his own and a super nose, and for whatever reason, this makes him into an evil psychopath, as we'll soon see. I don't really get it either. This movie doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, so he is a strangely detached boy with a super sense of smell. So he's making a delivery to Paris, where he revels in the new odors. He smells a red-headed girl selling yellow plums, and he follows her around attempting to sniff her because I don't know she's menstruating or something, and he likes the scent. He's on to the smell. The pheromones she's emitting control him and drive him wild. Like, dude, I know redheads tend to have that effect on you, especially like ones who look like that, the one that he's killing in the picture. But come on, dude, like, kind of being creepy here. Yeah, so he falls around attempting to smell her. Um, he scares the fuck out of her because there's this weirdo Randy who's following her around trying to smell her. So he covers her mouth and suffocates her. After he realizes she's dead, he strips her body and starts to just sniff her. In a lot of ways, this is creepier than just him raping people, because that would like be more normal. Like, because you can kind of understand that. I mean, it's like it's evil, but like you can get like men are just fucking horny, and you can kind of understand a guy who's just kind of a degenerate and goes berserk and rapes some women. You can't really understand a guy who fucking kills people to smell them. It's just fucking weird. So he becomes distraught when her scent fades. So he is haunted by a desire to capture and preserve the aroma of the dead girl. So he makes a delivery to a perfume shop and amazes the owner, played by Dustin Hoffman, with his ability to identify and create fragrances. He gets transferred to the control. The owner, his papers get bought or whatever by the perfumer, and he helps revitalize the perfumer's career, demanding only that the perfumer will teach him how to create and preserve scents. So the perfumer explains that all perfumes are harmonies of 12 individual scents and may contain a theoretical 13th scent. Whatever the fuck that even means. Is that like the color of magic, like the seventh color? Is that like the fifth quadrant? Like what is this bullshit? I don't know if it's accurate or not. That might be how the perfume industry works, and all perfumes are composed of these different combinations, and I frankly don't really care. It's just like this random like philosopher's stone like element they just introduced into the movie. So he yeah so John Baptiste continues to work for him, but is saddened when he learns that the normal method of capturing scent will not work on all objects, including the women that he kills. So the man informs John Baptiste of another method that can be learned in a different town, and agrees to help him if in return John Baptiste will give 100 perfume formulas. So, making the deal, he leaves, and Dustin Hoffman's house immediately collapses, killing him for no adequately explored reason. And then they play like some quirky music when it happens, making this movie into a dark comedy all of a sudden. Actually, a lot of this movie could really be played as dark comedy, and it probably would do better if you added like a laugh track in. Anyways, so he goes to a different city, and he catches the scent of uh, a, another beautiful redheaded daughter of Alan Rickman, who's a local noble. Largely the rest of the movie revolves around Jean Baptiste's attempts to kill her and capture her scent, and it's portrayed like it's the movie portrays it like this romantic, this epic quest. This man who's denied and maligned by society, when all he does is he just wants to kill this innocent woman and like strip her skin off and use it to make perfume. And the movie obviously sympathizes with him. It's shot in a fashion like the Jean Baptiste is so hard done by and society doesn't understand, and that his murder of women and the perfume is fucking a lifestyle choice. It's literally the most fucking pretentious degenerate thing I've ever heard of. So yeah, so he decides that the redheaded girl will be the mysterious 13th scent. Yes, that's correct. He has to make a perfume with 13 scents because, um, like, that's just how perfumes work. They're a combination of 12 scents. But so he's going to make a scent, a perfume that contains 12 other women, and then once he's done collecting the scents of 12 other women, he's going to add the redhead scent, and it's going to make like the perfect scent or something like that. I don't fucking know, it's weird. So yeah, so he finds a job and learns a different way of making scent. Of doing scent. So he goes and he kills a young lavender picker, and he attempts to extract her scent using the new method, but it fails. Um, so he just kills some other random woman for no reason. There's no remorse, and it's kind of portrayed as like being quirky and endearing, because that's the way like schizophrenic serial killers are. They're charming and endearing because they're artistic. I mean, like, the thing is, if this was like a horror movie, if this was just like some fucked up guy like Silence of the Lambs or something, that would be okay. But this movie very clearly sees him as, and we'll get into why I say that, but just the way it's shot, the way the dialogue works, the way the narrator and everybody else in the movie acts around him, and how dumb every character other than Jean Baptiste is kind of an example of this. So then he learns yet another method of making perfume, and he kills a prostitute. Um, okay, so he hires a prostitute, and then he tries to make perfume out of her, so she gets angry, so he kills her, and he successfully preserves the scent of the women. So then Jean Baptiste embarks on a killing spree, which is done in montage form with quirky music playing, and he kills dozens of a dozen women and captures the first 12 scents, meaning he has to capture the last girl, and then he will have completed his great work of art, and he will truly have become. I don't fucking know. It's just weird. So yeah, so he dumps the woman's corpse, naked corpses all over the city after he's mutilated them. This causes a panic around town, and people go crazy. And the public are portrayed as just buffoons and stupid and ignorant because they don't understand the beauty he's creating. So they just shoot a bunch of random people. Um, the local priest, the local bishop excommunicates Jean Baptiste. Um, and this is portrayed as being like really stupid, and like the movie mocks the bishop for doing this. The movie also what else does the movie do? The movie just portrays all the people as stupid and ignorant, getting in the way of this true artiste and his lifestyle choices because of their bigotry. So let's see here. So, during a church sermon excommunicating them, it's announced that the man has confessed to the murders. Alan Rickman is unconvinced though, and flees the city with his daughter. And then we have Jean Baptiste completing his epic quest, following them all the way to the inn, going into her room, and then murdering her and using her to make the perfume. Um, so yeah, so the movie portrays it as like this great accomplishment that he's completed his life work, and they portray Alan Rickman as being like a bad guy, and he's kind of the villain of this movie because he doesn't want John Baptiste to kill his daughter and make her into perfume. So John Baptiste has killed, I think, like at least 16 women. God knows how many other people he killed trying to find the right sense. But like we're supposed to empathize with them, we're supposed to idealize them, we're supposed to love him. It's literally like the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. So anyway, so on the day of the execution, Jean Baptiste gets captured right after finishing the perfume. And on the day of his execution, he applies the perfume on himself, and the jailers release him. So then he goes to the execution platform, and he takes a couple drops of the perfume on like a cloth and throws it into the air. And the beauty of the perfume is so great that they go, "It's an angel!" And they like think he's an angel because the perfume of like made from the corpses of women he randomly killed is so beautiful and so transcendently um, good that everyone thinks he's an angel and they declare him innocent, and then everybody who's gathered to witness the execution has an orgy. Yeah, they have an orgy. Why do they have an orgy? Who the fuck knows? It's not really explained. Because of love. because the perfume is pure distilled love, made from fucking brutally murdering innocent young women. So yeah, so that happens. Then Alan Rickman, who's like the only like half decent person in this movie, um, tries to kill him with his sword, but he is overwhelmed by the beauty of the perfume and comes to realize that his hatred of Jean Baptiste is born out of his own ignorance and bigotry, and he accepts Jean Baptiste's lifestyle choices and calls him his son because Jean Baptiste killed the women and made them into perfume as an act of love. And by killing his daughter and using her as the linchpin of his perfume, it's like they're married, and he's basically Jean Baptiste's legal father-in-law now. What the fuck kind of sick fuck made this movie? Like, literally, I'm not even joking. You can watch it. No, don't watch it. This movie's fucking horrible. And this is what people who are fans of this will say. Like, they aren't gonna, they won't dispute anything I'm fucking saying. Maybe someone will come on here and dispute it. But this movie's fucked, man. And I try to stay more impartial, but this just pisses me the fuck off. So, anyways, so it turns out that Jean Baptiste does enough perfume to rule the world. He can use it to make the Pope declare him the Messiah, or use the King of France to declare him the king in his place. Um, but he realizes he will never be allowed to love or be loved like a normal person because he has no scent. So disenfranchised by his aimless quest, he returns to the Parisian fish market where he was born and pours the remaining perfume over his head. Overcome by the scent and the belief that Jean Baptiste is an angel, the nearby crowd eats him. Yes, the fucking crowd eats him because they think he's an angel. What the fuck? What the fuck does that even mean? And then the narrator goes, it was an act done purely out of love. What? So let me just get this straight. So the perfume makes them think he's an angel, so they eat him because they love him. And then, like, I think the narrator says some pretentious shit like the perfume made them feel like for a moment that they were in heaven. So the perfume's a good thing, but it makes people. Whatever. Who the fuck knows? So then all that's left in the morning are his clothes and the empty bottle from which a drop of perfume falls. So yeah, I think this is pretty straightforward. This is like the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there's stuff like Hostel, which is gorier, but just the idea of making perfume from a woman would never really occur to anyone. At least not a sane. Well, no, I mean as a horror idea, maybe. But the idea of making a movie about a serial killer who kills women and turns them into perfume is, and this being an act of beauty and love, and this being a good thing, is literally so fucked up. It's beyond my comprehension. Because it's not only shitty, it's not only like something ISIS would do or like something they do in like I don't know, like barbarian times, but this is like the kind of fucked up shit that takes like someone with a lot of education to come up with. I mean, this is grade age's bizarro fetish material. So anyways, yeah, what else can be said? Most degenerate movie I ever saw, most disturbing thing I've seen in my life. I have to repress it most of the time, and I even repress the memory of the guy I know, because that's how fucking disturbing this movie is. Anyways, guys, this is Argent Templar, and I'm signing out.